Have you ever felt like you're the only one standing for what's right? Like the whole world has gone crazy and you're the lone voice of sanity? If you have, then you'll understand the story of a man named Elijah, a prophet who stood against an entire nation that had lost its way. This is the story of the day fire fell. Imagine the kingdom of Israel, a nation that was supposed to be dedicated to the one true God. But under their king, Ahab and his queen Jezebel, the people had turned their backs on their faith. They began worshipping a false god, a storm and fertility deity named Baal. Temples to Baal dotted the landscape, and the nation was steeped in idolatry. It was a dark time, a spiritual famine that mirrored the very real famine plaguing the land drought that Elijah himself had prophesied. In the midst of this spiritual crisis, Elijah appears, a rugged man of God, unwavering in his conviction. He confronts King Ahab, the man who called him the troubler of Israel. But Elijah throws the accusation right back. "I have not troubled Israel," he declares, "but you and your father's house have, in that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord and have followed the Baals." The tension is electric. Elijah doesn't just make an accusation. He throws down a challenge, a public high-stakes showdown to prove once and for all who the true God is. He proposes a contest on Mount Carmel. It would be Elijah, one man, against the 450 prophets of Baal. The rules were simple, yet terrifying. 2 bulls would be prepared as offerings, each placed on a wooden altar. But no one was allowed to light a fire. The prophets of Baal would call on their God. Elijah would call on his the God who answers by fire. Elijah proclaimed to the watching crowd, "He is God." The people, caught between 2 worlds, agreed. The stage was set. The 450 prophets of Baal went first. From morning until noon, they performed their rituals. They shouted, they chanted, they danced wildly around their altar, crying out, "O Baal, hear us." But there was no voice, no answer, just a deafening, empty silence. As midday passed, Elijah began to taunt them. "Cry aloud," he mocked, "for he is a god." Either he is meditating, or he is busy, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened. His words were sharp, cutting through their desperate pleas. Spurred on, the prophets of Baal grew even more frantic. They leaped upon the altar and even began cutting themselves with swords and lances, a grisly ritual to get their god's attention. Blood flowed, but the sky remained clear. The altar remained cold. Their cries faded into the evening with no response. Their God was silent. Then it was Elijah's turn. He didn't shout or dance. His actions were calm, deliberate, and full of meaning. He repaired the broken-down altar of the Lord, using 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel. He dug a trench around it. He laid the wood, arranged the pieces of the bull, and then did something completely illogical. He commanded the people to douse the entire setup with water. Not once, Not twice, but 3 times they poured precious water over the sacrifice, the wood, and the stones, until the trench itself was completely filled. In a time of severe drought, this was a radical act of faith. He was making the impossible even more impossible. There was no way this could be a trick. With the crowd watching in stunned silence, Elijah stepped forward and prayed. It wasn't a frantic shout. It was a simple, powerful prayer from the heart. He asked God to show the people that he was the one true God and that Elijah was his servant. He asked God to turn the people's hearts back to him. And then it happened. In an instant, fire fell from heaven. It wasn't just a small flame. It was a torrent of divine power. The fire consumed everything: the offering, the wood, the 12 stones of the altar, the very dust beneath it. And it even licked up all the water in the trench. Everything was gone, vaporized in a flash of holy fire. The people who had been watching fell on their faces in terror and awe. A single, unified cry rose from the crowd. The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. In that single moment, the debate was over. God's power was clear, terrifying, and undeniable. The false prophets were defeated, and a nation was brought to its knees, reminded of who truly held power over heaven and earth. It was a day that proved that even when you feel like you're standing all alone, one person with God is always in the majority. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories you might not know. See you next time.